Do you think that is one of the principal reasons behind why cryptocurrencies like Bitcoins have soared in the past couple of years? Because of the growing dissatisfaction of central authority, people are moving towards decentralized finances. So, for example, Bitcoin, I mean, it's touched record values. So, do you think it's because
Yes.
of people are just losing interest, people are losing their confidence in the dollar, and that's led them to invest in Bitcoins?
Yeah, I absolutely think that's the case, and to a degree. Bitcoin is something that has never existed before. It is a non-state money that is natively digital and decentralized, that has a non-discretionary monetary policy. So, the monetary policy was set in once at the start, and it's never going to be changed. And I think that I tend to think that even if we haven't had some of these problems with money printing that we've seen in the last few years, I tend to think that Bitcoin still would have eventually reached where it is now and far beyond. Because if you accept my belief that people will naturally gravitate towards the form of money that best stores value over time, and in my opinion, what allows a money to store value are its properties, how it works. People focus on the dollar value of Bitcoin going up and down, and they say it's too volatile. How can that be a store of value? But what makes Bitcoin a store of value is not the price right now, it's how it works, and the fact that there's only going to be a fixed number of Bitcoin. So I think it would have eventually got here anyway. But yes, there's no doubt that the current macro conditions have sort of lined up perfectly for Bitcoin to get increased awareness and adoption. And people are starting to see that at the very least, a small percentage of a portfolio should go into Bitcoin as a hedge. I believe it's much more than a hedge, but, people that don't really understand are still starting to become more willing to put 1 or 5% of what they invest in Bitcoin just in case. And I do think a lot of people are starting to wonder how money works now. People are either saying, why can't we be printing more money to help more people? Or they're saying, I don't really understand money, but I know that the fact we're printing so much of it just kind of makes me uncomfortable. And that is leading to certain inflows in Bitcoin and crypto as a whole, although I tend to think that Bitcoin is really the boat that rises all the tides or something. The investment in most other cryptocurrencies sort of flows from that. But yes, absolutely, I think that conditions are part of the reason why it's reached new heights.
And would you personally agree when we call, so a lot of people have been speculating, a lot of people have been telling that cryptocurrencies is the next evolution of money, it's the new form of money, and that gradually the world economy is going to be decentralized in nature, where cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin play a major part in world economy. Can you, like, what do you think? Do you think Bitcoin is the next evolution in money?
Yes, Bitcoin represents the next evolution of money. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to end up being the global reserve currency anytime soon. There are a lot of different paths that Bitcoin can take, but there is no doubt that it is a significant evolution in money. I mean, before Bitcoin, if I wanted to send you money, there's no way that that could be done without going through a third party like a PayPal or something.
PayPal, yeah.
Right now, I could send you money directly, through the internet without a third party. That in itself is a revelation. It is a technological advancement, and that sort of natively digital money presents possibilities that we haven't even started to see yet. So we'll see things like in the future, instead of getting paid for your work once every 2 weeks or something, you'll be able to have your pay received by the second, stream your money by the second as natively digital money, this application layer for money, and where your self-driving car might not have it won't have a credit card attached to it. The technology doesn't allow for that, but it might have something like Bitcoin where it can pay for parking on its own, this new evolution of money. So I do think it's an evolution of money, but there are a lot of different ways it could go. And, the United States is not going to give up its reserve currency status that easily. It only has some say in the matter because it's one country around the world. If other countries decide that they don't want to use the dollar anymore, they're going to have other options, namely Bitcoin probably, where they can sort of opt out of the system. So there is a large range of possibilities for where Bitcoin is sort of just like a gold-like fringe asset to where it takes over the world, which is a possibility as well. And it's not clear exactly where that'll end up, but there is no doubt that it's an evolution of money, and it's a pretty good bet that it'll get more adoption than where it is right now today over time.
A lot of people, for example, the last sentence you use, a lot of people attribute Bitcoin as evil money because it's used to fund terrorism and a lot of other illegal activities, money laundering as well. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is the most open and auditable money system in the world because it's an open and public blockchain. And that sort of leads to people having more ammo to try and attack it because, we can see more with it than we can see for everything else. That's part of the stuff about its electricity consumption as well. We can see exactly how much electricity it's being used, which we can't do for anything else. So that sort of lets it be painted as a target. So I mean, some of these chain analysis companies like Chain Analysis have run reports that their job is to analyze the blockchain for law enforcement that show that only a tiny fraction of Bitcoin transactions are used for illegal activities, like less than 1%, and that it's far lower than the percent of cash that is used for illegal activity, and that it's quite traceable because while it's a pseudonymous addresses, for Bitcoin, if I buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, that Bitcoin it can get tracked all over the place, because it's an open and public system. So they catch a lot of Bitcoin criminals. So the claim that it's just used for terrorism and that kind of stuff, it really has no legs in fact or, in reality, but it's a claim that we're going to keep seeing in the years to come. So I don't give it any credence. I don't think it's real. I don't think that it's a legitimate criticism. I mean, the percentage of $100 bills that have been used in crimes is high in itself. $100 bills. So I don't give much credence to that, but I do think that that's something we're going to keep hearing for years and years to come.
Right.